Hello, everybody. This is the Beef and the Deuce podcast. I am the Deuce with the Beef. We've got some things to talk about. Beef, how's life?
Well, I'm waiting for these big cues you got for me. It's got me.
Got some questions for you for sure.
It's got me thinking. So
yeah.
I think I'm ready for them.
Okay. We're going to talk. On our points challenge, I'm afraid in consultation with the Beef, we all suck.
Yeah, we were
bad.
We were way off, and that game was unexpected.
Oof. Anyway, so speaking of that unexpected game, what's your takeaway from this game?
Well, I think the obvious answer is kind of pissed off.
Yeah,
that was a very ugly game.
Mm-hmm.
But then on the other side, it's these bye weeks suck.
For Ohio State,
like having 2 bye weeks within a 2-month span.
Yeah,
that's brutal.
Yeah,
you can't get any sort of really anything. You can't really get any momentum going.
Right.
Now, obviously, at the beginning of the season, we had a 4 game stretch of every weekend football, which is great.
Yep.
You just stop but then you have these broken up seasons because of the expansion of the Big Ten and then obviously the CFP and stuff that you really can't get anything going. It's just choppy.
Yeah.
So I'd like to think that I'm just going to say the embarrassing football output that the Buckeyes put on the field was partially due to that. The bye week just kind of threw everything off.
Yeah. That's okay. But I give them the first quarter for that.
Yeah.
And again, they were up 7-0 first quarter, which is very typical for Ohio State this year, right? Up 7-0 at first quarter, and then they sort of kick it in.
Yep, we were expecting kind of a second half to blow open the game, and that didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
Got some offensive line struggles, which is putting it lightly.
Yeah.
We'll be going on our either third string left tackle, or there's going to be some shuffling on the offensive line to figure out what the hell is going on over there.
Or I get my leather helmet out and go in myself, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to tap you in, put you out of retirement.
Oh, God.
I thought the defense played better.
Yeah, well, secondary.
Secondary is still just a big head scratcher. It's Denzel Burke got bailed out a couple times from some big plays.
Yeah.
Igbenogsen's just a penalty machine.
Yeah.
Which I get that's how he plays. He plays, up in your face, and that's all fine and dandy. Like, that's great. But eventually, these penalties are going to bite us in the ass.
So,
and
go ahead.
I'm not a huge fan of that.
So
obviously,
it seems like we weren't getting any pass rush previous to this. We got some pass rush. We got some stuff, losses for tackles for losses, but we're putting now pressure on. We're really being more aggressive at the line, and it forces us to play man to man in the secondary, which is fine if you can do it.
Yes, if it's successful.
So are we doomed to play man to man and just hyper attack on the defensive line then, with linebackers and such? That's not a good formula.
It's not the greatest. Now there are some defenses that man to man is their go-to and it works out great.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not really seeing success yet. We're seeing Denzel Burke getting burned.
Yeah.
Especially like the Oregon, he's just getting burnt on 2 passing plays, 2 routes, and just getting destroyed.
Yeah.
Now part of that is due to Dylan Gabriel during that game having forever and a day to throw.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And at least with this Nebraska game, there was pass rush.
There was pressure.
And that was getting out credit to Nebraska. Nebraska has a pretty decent offensive line.
Yeah.
It's upper middle tier in the Big Ten, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And Dylan Raiola's got scrambling ability, so he's going to be a little bit harder to bring down. Mm-hmm. And I think we had 3 or 4 sacks on the game.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's a lot better than 0.
Yeah.
So we're moving up in the world.
But if you're always playing man, you're going to have sometimes the secondary is not looking at the quarterback, and if there's a big gaping hole somewhere, even Raiola is not the fastest guy, but he said, "Hey, I can run 20 yards now."
Yeah, those scrambling plays for any mobile quarterback are going to burn us.
Yeah, and Penn
big
State,
time.
this new Penn State quarterback they put in is pretty darn good.
Yeah, and if Drew Aller ends up playing, that is another athletic quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there watching this game like, where's the spot? Like, if he's continuing to scramble and get chunks of yardage, at some point, if you're gonna attack the offensive line, trying to win this line of scrimmage on the defensive side, you need to put a spy on the quarterback.
But does that
or
work?
You're just going to get burned for 10, 20 yards.
But does that work with a man-to-man?
It could. It's possible.
They may have to.
Yeah, I mean, but at the end of the day, if that one broken down play ends up in just a constant first down for a quarterback scramble, then you're just screwed. Eventually, you're going to have to do it, and then you're going to have to risk the outside one-on-one coverage and kind of see what happens.
Yeah.
It's not, like you said, it's not the ideal formula for top-tier football, especially when you are a top-5 team. You get into the CFP, you're playing very good teams.
With very good quarterbacks.
Yes, and ridiculous wide receiver talent.
Yeah.
Hence why they're in, the top 12.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I mean, unless Denzel Burke can get his head out of his ass, to put it very blunt,
yep.
like we're going to get burnt on the outside.
Yeah.
There's really not much else there. And then, heaven forbid we do another one-on-one with a safety and a receiver and it should get burnt again. They put a safety on an island.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not really sure how to really fix the secondary problem because, I mean, the talent's there. I'm hoping that it's just a bad couple weeks. That is the best case scenario, and then they kind of turn it on for the end of the season.
But don't you think?
I'm starting to worry that it's not that.
Don't you think it relies more on our defensive line than the secondary?
I would say yes. I would say it's more of kind of like a 70-30 split. I would say a lot of the issue is the quarterback is having
too much time.
Whoever the quarterback is has a ton of time.
A ton.
And that's not ideal.
Right.
Especially when you have talents like JTT, you have Hamilton just up the middle, you've got Jack Sawyer on the outside. Like, you guys are NFL talents. Get to the quarterback. That's all you have to do.
Right.
I know it's easier said than done, but these guys are better athletes than anybody that's in front of them.
But
and I don't know if it's scheme related or if maybe they aren't as good as we thought they were. Who knows?
Yeah.
That's the kind of the big question for all of Buckeye Nation. Are they that good?
Yeah. So one of my big questions that I had for you, we'll just pull it out now because we're talking about OSU, and it has to do with the offense. And my question to you is: we have the most talented team. What people are saying, Ohio State is the most talented team in the history of college football, and they lose one non-skilled position player, and their entire season expectations for the year could go all to shit this Saturday against Penn State. What the heck is happening here? How could that be? If you have the most talented team in the history of the game.
Well, I mean, with the non-skilled player, it is arguably the most important is your blind side.
One player.
But I mean, it messes with everything. It messes with your running attack. It messes with your passing attack.
Yeah. Because if you notice, we tend to run off the left side.
Yeah, and that was the other thing that I was going to mention. That I want to say it might have been Joe Klatt that mentioned. Now you're a one-dimensional rushing attack. You can't run to the left, so now you're running just strictly to the right, and That's not going to cut it.
That's your weak side to begin with.
Like, it's just not going to cut it. So it's definitely not ideal.
Mm-hmm.
But you're Ohio State.
Yeah.
You recruit the best of the best. There should be an answer for most issues.
Well,
and
so far none.
And so far that we are striking out.
Mm-hmm.
And now the second string is gone. Now we are trying to find something.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like, from what I want to say Joel Klatt said again, they're just kind of have to shuffle around the talent that they have now.
Yeah.
Because most of the offensive line is, I would say, relatively decent.
Yeah. Pretty good.
So I would assume just use the talent that you have, shuffle some guys around. Hopefully that fixes the issue. Because at the end of the day, you can't. We definitely cannot be a one-dimensional rushing attack. We can't just always go to the right side. But the strength of that rushing attack is being able to go left and to go right and to go up the middle. But at the end of the day, I don't know if it's all just on that one position. I feel like.
Well, then, okay, but what is it then?
At the end of the day, I feel like, I don't know if it's Chip Kelly or if it's the players. I'm telling you the thing, Chip Kelly just needs to maybe open up this playbook a little bit more. I feel like we still haven't seen everything. And going with this game against Nebraska, we just didn't – I feel like we didn't hit the rushing attack hard enough. Like, Will Howard played well, so I think that probably facilitated in that aspect of the game plan. But we're more successful when we run the ball efficiently and run it often.
But what about? I mean, we weren't really going downfield with our passing game, were we? It was just like we have to prove. It's like we have to prove that we can run the ball on you, no matter what. And you have arguably a receiving core that is unbeatable. And they got a couple of, they were like, I don't know, not a lot of attempts there. Yeah,
and most of that passing attack was two big plays.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Jeremiah Smith touchdown and then the Carnell Tate touchdown. Which again is great, which is awesome. And I would still like to see a little bit more RPO. I feel like that would be kind of the bread and butter of that offense.
I would have thought, especially now.
Yeah, especially to incorporate Will Howard's dual threat ability. Yeah. He's obviously not small by any stretch.
No. And with your left tackle.
Then again, I'm also going to give credit to Nebraska. Their defensive line
is good.
Played pretty well.
They're good. But then we should have destroyed them.
Contributed to the rushing attack being meh.
Then why can't we destroy them in the passing attack? We should have just knocked them out of the park.
Yeah. I truly don't know. I'm still just confused on the game itself.
Yeah.
It was just very strange.
Yeah.
See, we came out flat outside of the initial touchdown, which was like, this is good. This is great. Will Howard's hot. He started off insanely. I think it was 12 for 12, or 11 for 11, something like that. And then something happened. And I don't know what.
Okay.
But I mean, outside of just watching the game and figuring out that we're not able to really run the ball well, the offense just kind of just went flat. And I don't think Will Howard is. I shouldn't say he's not capable of taking over the game with his arm, but that's just not Ohio State football.
Right.
Especially when you get into these games like Penn State here this weekend.
And I'm worried about Indiana.
Yeah, Indiana in a couple weeks. It's scary. Indiana's a scary-looking team. Penn State's obviously very good.
Very good.
And it's going to be very telling going into Happy Valley if these guys are for real. And I'm hoping that this is just a hiccup before the big game. They're looking forward a little bit to the big game, and then we come out, do what we need to do, win this Penn State game, and then everything just kind of goes away. All the negativity just kind of just goes away. That's me trying to be optimistic as best I can.
You've got your rose-colored glasses on now, buddy.
Yeah, jeez. I'm just hoping, but I do think that the bye week stuff is it's just different. You really can't pick up any sort of positive momentum when you have these breaks in between a couple games.
Well, we've had bye weeks for a number of years, though, right? Just the one bye week. Now it's two.
Yeah. Well, especially like the early ones. I feel like it has some effect. But at the end of the day, we shouldn't be struggling against Nebraska.
Not after what Indiana did to Nebraska the very week before.
That makes it a lot worse. Makes it a lot worse.
Yeah. Give credit to what's the Nebraska coach? What's his name?
Matt Rule.
Yeah. Whatever he did a good job.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they had a good game plan. They needed a little bit more from Dylan Raiola.
Yeah.
And honestly, they needed one more stop.
Yeah.
And I think they would have had it.
Yeah.
I mean, they were up at one point 17-14.
Yeah.
And all hell was going to break loose.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately for us, we found something.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Anything else about the Ohio State game? What's your look forward to Penn State then?
I want the rushing attack established early. Like I want this smash mouth power football early.
Okay. Good luck with that.
Yeah. Oh, fingers crossed.
I mean, Penn State's their defense is good.
Penn State's solid. Very, very good team. It's probably the best team James Franklin's had.
Mm-hmm. Especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, defense is solid. But I want to see, and we've talked about this for weeks now, I feel like, is win the line of scrimmage. That's how, that's how you dictate the game. If we get that running game going, I think that's going to, help, it's going to help Will Howard, take the pressure off him a little bit. But then at the same time, it's back to what we're used to. We get to see this 1-2 punch with Junkins and Henderson and open up that play action.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just very worried about it. You have probably the best running back combo in the nation. I don't think there's any question about it.
No, yeah, it's easy
They got nothing. They average 2-point-something yards a carry.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, oh boy.
Yeah, and it's in Happy Valley. Thankfully, it's not at night, which was
still
my big worry. It's weird that it's a nooner, but it's still tough place to play. Urban Meyer says it all the time. It is the toughest place to play.
Yeah.
And that place is going to be rocking. You're going to have hammered college students from 6 a.m. on.
And that's just Ohio
for this
State.
game.
Yeah.
But yeah, outside of that Oregon matchup, this is
it.
A massive test, and if we lose this, that could be it.
We're out. We won't make the championship game if they rest it. I don't know. Yeah, because if you lose to Oregon, if you lose to your best competition in the Big Ten, and those are the two best teams, right? Aside from Ohio State, what's that say about your team?
Yeah, it shows that you are not as good as you thought you were.
Yeah.
And that is not ideal, and obviously that is not what we want. So hopefully this is the game that we turn it around, light that fire under your ass, and play the football that you can play.
How to play, yeah. So what do you think is going to? Will it be run heavy or pass heavy? What do you think is going to be? You don't actually think it's going to be a balanced attack, do you?
No, I think the lack of rushing attack from this Nebraska game is kind of worrisome, obviously, like we have just talked about. So I think that priority to get Quinshawn and get Travion going early is going to be the priority. And I think we'll be able to do that, not easily, but I think with Chip Kelly's offensive mindset and his playing schemes, I think it'll work. You get Travion in space. We already know what can happen with him in space.
Mm-hmm.
You get Quinshawn downhill. Who's stopping that guy?
Right.
And then obviously, if that doesn't work, which hopefully it does, we still have like the best receiver trio, if you want to consider a trio or even more, in the nation. Nobody's stopping Jeremiah Smith. If you do somehow, you still have a Mecca. Carnell Tate's coming into his own.
Mm-hmm.
We've got what we need. We just need to.
What if we don't have the pass protection, though?
Yeah, and that is probably our X factor.
Mm-hmm.
Is what is our offensive line? Like, what is it going to be? If it's anything less than average, we're probably screwed. And Howard's going to have to do a lot with his legs, getting out of the pocket. It's probably short to intermediate passing.
Yep.
And I think that's how Penn State wins the game, is if they pressure Will Howard and kind of make it ugly. Because if it's a shootout, I don't expect Penn State to be able to win a shootout.
Yeah, I would hope it's a shootout.
Yeah. But if it's low scoring, similar like this Nebraska game, we're probably in trouble.
Yeah.
Especially with their defense being, somewhat suspect for the last couple of weeks. That's not really ideal, especially close to the end of the game.
Haven't you been impressed by Ohio State's short yardage defense, like their goal line defenses lately?
The goal line defense, the third and short, the fourth and short, like that, those have been great.
They're amazing.
I just wish everything else was
that good. Yeah. So, okay, another big question, since we're talking about Penn State. Can James Franklin survive losing to Ohio State again and not making the Big Ten championship again, even though maybe he'll go to the CFP? Again, he loses to the big boys again, and he doesn't play Oregon, so good for him, good for the team. Can he survive? I mean, who are you going to get? But it's the same old with him.
Yeah, I think if they make the CFP, that kind of gets forgiven. And I think that's going to benefit him in the long run, as being that, more than likely the third best team in the Big Ten most years. But you have one big win against the big brothers in the Big Ten, against the Buckeyes and against Michigan. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, that has to speak volume to something.
Yeah. Whether
you're just not cut out for the gig because you can't win these big games, or if everyone's just okay with you beating the team that you're supposed to be and then losing to the best.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't think he'd be able to keep that gig if he can do it. That's a lot of losing in a short amount of time with the big teams. So and if you want to make a run in the CFP, especially this year with a bunch of good teams, there is probably, obviously at least 12, but I would say you probably have 15 plus teams that are really good, really, really good, solid programs.
Yeah.
If you can't beat good teams in the Big Ten, who's to say that you could do it in the CFP, depending on who your matchup is?
Right.
But yeah, I don't think so. I think eventually it's just going to be, move on. But the big question is who's out there that's worth a damn.
Right.
So yeah, it's an interesting question. Very, very interesting.
Does this remind you of Ryan Day though, losing the big game?
It does. It is almost a spitting image of what we're dealing with. Mm-hmm. Ryan Day's saving grace, I think, is that they made it to a championship game. Granted, we lost, but they made it.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the end of the day, the records are relatively or very, very similar.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, begs the question too: is Ryan Day the problem for some of the lack of quality wins, or is it something else? I mean, a lot of people say it's Ryan Day, and that he might not be cut out for the big games, which it's hard to argue against it or for it. So I don't know.
Yeah, but
It's tough.
He has a history of losing some of these big games really close.
Mm-hmm.
So, that Georgia game and even this Oregon game, I think I would classify this as a big game.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's massive.
And
yeah.
you can complain about things that happened in that game, and I'm sure that they feel that they should have won that game and it got away from them. But you don't win championships by letting things get away from you, right?
Nope. You win big games and championships because you are the best and you show you're the best.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to get bad calls, and Ryan Day has had a metric butt ton of bad calls that have gone against him.
Pardon me while I write that down. Metric butt ton.
Yeah, but we all know about the bad calls,
Mm-hmm.
and like we've lived through them and we get it.
Mm-hmm.
But each of those games haven't been, hindered or essentially handicapped by one call.
Right.
And Ryan Day's had a lot of really good teams, and this year this is a really, really good team.
Yeah.
You've got to do something with it. You have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we will see if the Buckeyes are for real. It's like you said, it is a nerve-wracking game for sure.
So you think James Franklin, win or lose this game, is good he's not going to get fired?
I don't think so because it'll be their first loss. But I think eventually that's going to be the big question on him and his coaching status is.
Yeah.
Like, what have you done?
Yeah.
If you want this legacy as a Penn State head coach, what have you done for us?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's important. That's the same thing like you said with Ryan Day. What is your legacy for the Buckeyes during your time? Mm-hmm. Urban's got his.
Oh yeah.
Urban by far has his.
Yeah, he's set.
Yeah, like what are you going to do for us, Mr. Day?
Yeah. And
so we'll see.
It's expected, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like this whole, you were born on third base thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the argument could be very valid. Dude, you got to do something with what you have, especially this year. There's no excuse.
Yep. So let's talk another big question. Big Ten Coach of the Year, Dan Lanning or Curt Cignetti? I'm going Lanning.
Yeah, I think the number one overall team in the nation probably trumps the undefeated, relatively easy Indiana schedule.
However, I mean, you got to give Cignetti intense amounts of credit.
Yes. It's a team that was expected to go
nowhere.
Skid mark of the Big Ten.
Yeah, always. Well, since Nam, of course.
Yeah, since Nam, and now you are argued as being a possible top 10 team in the nation.
Yeah.
And a relatively big win against the Huskies. That was good.
Yeah.
I mean, you blew out Nebraska, come right back and beat Washington.
Yeah.
That's good. I mean, I know they're not ranked teams and, it's whatever, but Indiana was supposed to go literally nowhere.
Right.
You've got Cignetti that took, James Madison to an undefeated record before they lost their first, or like 12-0 or something before they lost. Mm-hmm. And you go to Indiana, you just continue to win.
Yeah.
It's great. It's awesome.
Yep.
But I think, Oregon is just so freaking good. It pisses me off.
But you could say Oregon was good. Oregon was good and expected to be good. No one expected anything out of Indiana.
Mm-hmm. It also just depends on what you define as, who deserves the Coach of the Year award. Like, what do they need to do? What do they have to do?
I wouldn't be surprised if they did Coach of the Year, but I don't know if they do that or not.
Yeah, do it 1A, 1B. I wouldn't even be mad.
So
I would completely understand it.
for me, Lanning is he took his team out of one conference and took it all the way into the Big Ten, and they're the big dog. They are the biggest dog.
Yeah, they're like you said, they're running shit.
Yeah.
Like this is the Big Ten. Like they are the Big Ten right now.
I think they are undisputedly the best team in the nation right now, and they're getting better. And it's like yeah. I mean, but Signetti is like, I'm gonna beat you, and I'm gonna beat you hard, and I'm not gonna let up on the gas, and I don't care who Nebraska is. I'm running up 50 points on you, and I'm not letting up. And I dig that. I really dig that.
Yeah, he's established a culture to that program that they've never had.
Yeah.
Like the fact that, one, it's a winning culture, which, again, they haven't had that in forever.
Mm-hmm.
And they're a highly talked about program.
Yeah.
That's another, like, you have massive media coverage for your program. You were on Big Noon kickoffs, for Christ's sake. When's the last time that happened when it wasn't against the Buckeyes? Even
against the Buckeyes, who would go to Indiana?
Yeah, or if you're playing a Big Noon with Michigan or another big name team, like that's insane. Like you're hosting College Game Day.
Yeah.
Like that is wild. And like you've got Pat McAfee and you've got Kirk Herbstreit, you've got Nick Saban talking about your program and how it's legit.
Yeah.
When has Hoosier football and legit ever gone together?
No, never.
See, it's wild. It's great.
And it seems like his players have to be believing that they're on a mission from God right now.
They have to believe that they are the shit.
They are.
And they do.
They are. At 8-0, they are.
Yep. I'm very excited about the potential that they have, especially if they make it to the CFP and start making some noise into that. That would be insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's the chaos that I know and love, as long as it's not against the Buckeyes.
So did they play Penn State? You know, I don't remember.
Nope, they got Michigan coming up.
And Ohio State's the big,
and then the Buckeyes, and that's it.
So they could be 11-1 easily. They might be 12-0.
Oh yeah, very, very easily.
God, if they're 12-0, my God.
And if they beat the Buckeyes, they'll go undefeated and play for a Big Ten championship game. Are you kidding me?
Against Oregon.
And Oregon would probably destroy them, which is sad for them because Oregon, again, is that good.
But they're in the playoffs. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
You go from skid mark in the Big Ten's underpants to a CFP appearance.
That Indiana offense is lightning.
I love it. Love it. It is fun to watch because, again, they've never had that. They've had good players, but they've never had a complete team.
Yeah. Yeah. And they've never had the coach of Signetti. Yeah. And
and then you have the X factor in Coach Signetti.
And he's not shy about it. It's
impressive.
He's not shy about it. Yeah.
No, I love it. It's the demeanor that they've needed for a long time.
How about the Big Ten this year? The defending national championship team is nowhere to be found to defend their championship. A team from out of the conference is dominating the conference. And an Indiana team that nobody gave crap about is running wild.
They're just out here having a damn good time.
Just the Big Ten is like, what the heck?
Don't you just love it?
I love it. It's great. And then Nebraska seems to be turning things around a bit.
Trying to.
There's a good chance they'll make a bowl game, which hasn't happened in 8 years or something like that.
It's been a long time.
And
Minnesota had a massive upset win against USC a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and I think Wisconsin is turning a corner a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Luke Fickell's trying to get this program going, trying his best.
He got some work. But
but it's hard when you don't really have the outside receiver help that a lot of these other big name programs have.
Yeah. But so it's just fascinating. And then of course we have Ohio State and Penn State doing what they normally do, right? So
Appreciate Ryan Day to just get his stuff together, show us why you're in your position. Like we know he's good.
Yeah.
We all know it. It's just you got to prove in these big games, and we're a fan base that expects greatness quickly.
Yeah, and steadily.
And I would say a lot of us have been pretty patient with it, and now it's time for him to provide some big wins for us.
And did Harbaugh just abandon ship just in time?
Yes. Oh, yeah, because could you imagine how pissed off that man would be right now with this program with no quarterback?
How does that happen with a no? I mean, just like, what?
It's like they completely abandoned the position.
Yeah.
Because the guys they have right now are absolute crap.
Yeah.
Just terrible.
They've had, what, three different guys, and they're all...
Just very bad. Very, very bad. Well, even Donovan Edwards as a top running back has not done much. The whole offense is just very flat.
Well, yeah. Well, you have no quarterback. It's very different.
You got absolutely nothing. So
Yeah.
they're fortunate that they have a good defense.
Yeah.
But outside of that team's crap.
Yeah.
Just absolute crap.
So let's talk about Hook'em Aggies. Texas A&M leads the SEC. What? Talk to me about this.
Did you have that on your bingo card?
It's on my dance card here.
Your dance card.
That's right. I want to dance, baby. Texas A&M leading the SEC. They're supposed to be good. They're supposed to be, in a good bowl game, but they never do this. They don't do this, and yet they are doing this, and that's just. And then the SEC. What Bama, Georgia. What's going on here? Was Texas?
They're just beating up everybody. Everyone's beating up one another, and it was kind of expected going into this season with the schedule the way that it is. But yeah, if you were to tell me after 8 or 9 weeks, Texas A&M would be undefeated in conference.
Yeah.
Leading their conference.
Leading the conference.
I'd say you're full of crap.
You're full of crap. Sure. Of course you are.
I mean, especially after week 1 where they lost a close one to Notre Dame at home.
Yeah.
You would think, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of go on a little bit of a tear.
Mm-hmm.
And then watching them beat LSU last week, I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah, wow.
Like, okay. Like, this is interesting.
Yeah.
And then they don't have really – the South Carolina game could be tricky.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, outside of that, they have Big Brother Texas at the end of the season to prove something, which if they go undefeated going into that game as a one-loss A&M team, that's CFP implications, that's SEC championship implications, that's massive.
Yeah. Yeah, and
but they're playing damn good football. They're running the ball well, limiting turnovers, defense is playing well.
Yeah.
Yeah, who would have thunk it?
Yeah, I think they have a legit chance to beat Texas. Texas can be flat sometimes. They're really flat at times. And I don't know why that is, but they're hot as hell. And then, wait a minute, what just happened here? What happened?
Yeah, and Quinn Ewers is notorious for at least a turnover, and that could make or break a game.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very interesting. Georgia's not at the top anymore. Texas is obviously not at the top. Bama's struggling.
Yeah, Bama. Oh,
God.
Yeah.
You've got, let's see, 1, 2,
Bama's
3,
not even in the
4.
top 10. They're not even in the top 5 of the conference. They're out of the top 5 of the SEC. What?
Yeah. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 one-loss teams in the SEC right now in conference.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
And you've also got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 teams in the top 25 as of right now.
Yeah.
And just look at the schedules that these teams have gone through week in and week out. They're beating up one another.
Yeah.
And you're Hook'em Aggies just chilling, undefeated, hanging out.
That's right. And if you got some insight on Vanderbilt, you let me know because it's worth $1 million.
Yeah, like what is happening with that program?
Vanderbilt. They're worse than Indiana.
Yeah, I mean, they Indiana beat Texas. They were on the verge of upsetting Texas.
And they beat somebody from Tuscaloosa. Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, I don't know what's in the Vanderbilt Kool-Aid or if it's just
Yeah.
pre-gaming in Nashville before the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is something, but it's
Amazing.
interesting. It's very, very interesting.
It's fascinating this year. And Brigham Young, and who else is it? Oh, is it Iowa State?
Mhm.
They're atop of the Big 12. Who are they?
Yeah.
I mean, Iowa State.
Did you have the BYU?
Oh yeah.
Whatever you want to call them.
Oh yeah. I don't know.
I definitely didn't have them in the top 10. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it's likely they'll play for the championship game. I mean, Iowa State was always pretty good.
Yeah, Iowa State's there. Kansas State has a one loss. Colorado's kind of making a little bit of noise.
Yeah, they're pushing it.
It's interesting. I mean, you've got. I mean, it's funny because most of these teams in the Big 12 don't play a lick of defense,
Right.
just barely.
Right.
And BYU's got a little bit of both.
Yeah.
You know, decent defense, offenses, nothing, super exciting, but they put up a lot of points.
Mm-hmm.
Iowa State, very similar. Kansas State, very similar. Colorado just has no defense, but they just have a very electric duo with Sanders and Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even seeing that duo kind of creeping into possibly playing for the Big 12 championship could be interesting as well.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. That would be wild if Colorado played for the championship. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, especially with a 2-loss, I mean, they would need a little bit of help to get there. But
Yep. And again, this is their first year in the Big 12, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're 4-1 in conference. You really can't be upset about that. And they destroyed Arizona.
Right.
At Arizona. That's not the easiest thing to do. Barely lost to Kansas State a couple weeks ago. And, I mean, outside of the kind of embarrassing loss to Nebraska early in the season, they haven't really played all that bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they've got a couple tests in the next couple weeks. But, yeah, I mean, it's not out of the possibility for them to play for the Big 12 if they get a little bit of help.
So does it mean anything that Oregon's not atop the Big Ten? Texas is somewhere very close to the top of the SEC. Brigham Young, again, that was Texas' first year in. This is Brigham Young's first year into the Big 12. That fascinates me, how they can just come on in and say, yeah, we're taking over.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows how good the programs were. And now they get a little bit more recognition outside of being in the smaller conferences prior to the merger. But yeah, I mean, BYU's, like you said, fascinating.
Now, what about SMU? They're ACC, but they're doing really well here.
Yeah, I mean, you've got from what I can remember, very, very pass-heavy type offense. But I think being in these bigger conferences helps them with recruiting. You get some more talent around you, and I mean that as a whole just is beneficial to both sides of the football. And then being a top 20 team, winning some pretty good games. And I mean, upsetting Louisville is big. And then playing close with BYU early in the season, and shows you something, because now BYU is a top 10 program.
Yeah.
Louisville, I feel like every week is on some sort of upset alert for another program.
Yeah, they're a contender.
So I mean, it's great for them. I mean, quarterback play has been pretty solid. Rushing attacks pretty solid. It's only a matter of time for them to make some more noise.
Yeah. Well, anything else in the college game that any upset alerts we're looking at this weekend?
Upset alerts. Let's see here. Well, hopefully it's not Penn State and Ohio State. Let's see. Let's see what I can throw my dart on.
The dart that never misses.
Yeah, I mean the Pitt SMU game for Saturday night could be fun to watch.
Yeah, Pitt's doing well.
Pitt's not playing bad at all. Undefeated Pitt too.
Yeah.
I would say upset alert would be probably South Carolina, Texas A&M. Especially with A&M going to South Carolina, it's never easy. And it's a night game.
Yeah.
We will see, but I would say if anything this weekend, I'll put A&M on upset alert.
Really, I can't stop you. If South Carolina seems to be the perpetual spoiler in somebody's season, right? I mean, they're like they're not going to win it all, but they'll f up somebody's game.
Yep, they'll have their national championship at some point in the regular season.
At some point.
At some point, it's like one a year, I swear.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, maybe it's this one. Who knows? Hopefully, it's out for your Hook 'em Aggies, though.
Oh, well, that'd be great. Oh, anyway. So, do we need to talk a little NFL here? I know that's.
Do you want to talk about your Brownies?
They won.
Finally.
They won.
Just finally.
They won a game. I'm fine for the rest of the year. I don't care.
Especially against the Ravens, too.
They beat the Ravens. They beat the Ravens. My goodness. In a thrilling game. It's a exciting game.
Great game. Great game. Jameis Winston looked
good.
Really good.
Yeah. I know that Baltimore was mad as for losing that game.
Well, yeah, you have to be. You have to be.
Now,
that's a game you go into Cleveland knowing that you should win.
Everyone, yeah.
But their secondary is so bad, especially down two corners. That was a nightmare for them.
And the Browns had a little bit.
But do you like Jameis? Are you a fan?
Right now, yes, absolutely. I mean, admittedly,
I love him.
He's no Joe Flacco, but you know.
But he also threw for 300, which Deshaun couldn't do.
And 3 touchdowns.
Ever.
3 touchdowns, yeah. Yeah, he scrambled. Yeah, I think he's fine. We'll see if the running game can pick up a little bit here, and we'll see. I don't know. I'm just happy they won the game.
Well, especially that magnitude.
Yeah.
And obviously after the emotional week for the fan base and for the Browns in general.
Yeah.
That's a massive win. That's huge.
Yep.
And hopefully just it gives you guys some sort of momentum for the rest of the season to at least make it interesting in the North. Because right now it's Pittsburgh and
they're at the top.
It's Baltimore. That's it.
Yeah, Cincinnati can't get out of their own way for some reason.
Something's going on. They won what did Joe Burrow say? 7 out of the next 9 to get a 10-win season. That's a lot.
Good luck. Yeah.
And that is a lot.
And Stefanski gave up play calling, gave it to the offensive coordinator.
And look what happened. You guys played it beautiful. It was a beautiful offensive game. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, once you ramp up Chubb's workload a little bit, it's an interesting team.
Yeah, they still got offensive line problems as well, though, but they can get better. Yeah, they've got a Swiss cheese offensive line, but
yes, but at least Jameis isn't afraid to sling it, and that's what you guys need. You need some sort of oomph.
Yeah, and he'll just throw. I mean, yeah. So good for them. About your Cowboys?
We suck. We just suck.
Okay. Next question.
Yeah, we don't have a rushing attack. Our offensive line's banged up. Our defense is insanely banged up.
And yet, what you didn't see in the fourth quarter was they had 2 drives back to back where they looked like Super Bowl teams offensively. I mean, they just chopped the 49ers up in just 2-minute drives, 80 yards, 2 minutes, 75 yards, 3 minutes. And they're like, they could win this game. But then they just reverted back to standard Dallas.
Yep, typical Dallas fashion.
But for 2 drives, they looked Amazing.
And that's our issue, is that we have we are 100% capable of playing good football.
Mm-hmm.
We just can never put it all together for a full game. And if we do, it's like once a year. So, like, a perfect example was when we played Cleveland.
Well, yeah.
That was a beautiful game for Dallas.
Yeah.
Crushed it on both sides of the football.
Yeah.
Granted, we were pretty healthy.
Yeah.
But the lack of depth in rushing attack, and then our defense going down to, fifth and sixth string players?
Yeah.
Like, that is not good.
Yeah.
That is not good. And even the Niners are banged up too.
Oh, they're seriously banged up. My gosh, I didn't realize it until you
And
were
we're
watching.
like, it's a struggle. Obviously, we weren't expected to win this game, but seeing that fourth quarter, it's like, dude, what the hell?
Yeah. What's
Like, where is this week in and week out?
Huge disconnect of I mean, CeeDee Lamb looked like the All-American, All-Pro guy he is.
Mm-hmm.
And Dak was just throwing it and slinging it and hitting him. And then it stopped.
Yep. They try to get cute, or they stop doing something that's working, and it's frustrating. It's truly frustrating.
Yeah. Because you can't.
And now the Commanders are out here balling. Philadelphia's back on the winning streak.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, we have no chance. We just need to just take me to the draft, please.
Oh, and that went well for you guys last year.
Mm-hmm. Loved it. Loved it.
So, anything else? I mean, the Bills are just high atop. And how about those Jets losing a fourth quarter lead? Or the media.
Defense just gave it away.
The media is brutalizing them right now.
Yes, they think it's funny going back to the firing of Robert Saleh. It was his fault. It's his problem.
Yeah.
He's the reason we're losing.
Hmm.
And it wasn't.
No.
It's the culture of the Jets. It is just the Jets being the damn Jets. Like they expect too much out of 40-something-year-old Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
Their offensive line can't run block or pass block for crap. And then your defense gives up a game-winning drive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You just have to play better.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, in crunch time, your defense has to play better than what that was. And it was atrocious.
Yeah. That's the one thing.
The Bills are for real. The Bills are for real.
Yeah. So let's see, we got, and your Seahawks, you like your Seahawks, and they tripped up.
Yeah, that was a very unexpected Seahawks performance. I expected a good game, especially for that matchup against the Bills, and it was not that. The Bills just dominated. The rushing attack for the Bills was top notch.
Mm-hmm.
James Cook had a hell of a game. Josh Allen threw the ball officially like he has all season.
Mm-hmm.
The Bills are dangerous.
Yeah.
They are fastly approaching possible Super Bowl favorites, which is crazy to think.
You mean is it for playing or winning?
Both. You could say both right now because the Chiefs are kind of up in the air too. Patrick Mahomes is not playing MVP-like football.
But that happened last
according to the media.
And they're undefeated.
Yeah, but they're undefeated, which is crazy. But he's getting all this crap. It's just like the offense isn't what it used to be.
That
and blah, blah, blah.
That happened last year. The same thing.
This team is banging the hell up. They lost their starting receiver.
Yeah.
Starting receiver. Their starting running back. And they're still undefeated.
Yeah.
I mean, some games have been relatively close. Like this Vegas game was relatively close, but it's just funny. It's just funny. But yeah, I like the Bills right now. The Bills are a very, very fun team to watch. Very interesting team to watch. Maybe this is the year. You never know.
It's been a long time.
But I do love me some Josh Allen. He's playing some damn good football.
Yeah, but I've heard you criticize Josh Allen before.
Well, I did at the beginning of the season thinking the Bills were going to be crap.
Yep.
And they're not crap.
They're not crap.
They're not crap. I apologize.
Yeah.
I take it back, I swear.
So, yeah. How about them Steelers? Of course, they're playing now. We'll see. I don't know what their score is now, but
Russell Wilson could possibly take this team to an AFC North division win. Like, he could win this whole division. After we just, I mean, I've never really liked Russell Wilson to begin with, but
right.
It would just be crazy to think with that division, with Baltimore, with Cincy, and Cleveland, that Pittsburgh would come out on top.
Yeah.
No. If you told me that earlier, you're high. There's no shot.
Yeah. They finished last year.
Yeah, and I would assume that they would go 6-2 after tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's nuts. That's not right. It's just, especially with Baltimore being Baltimore and us knowing Cincinnati the way that we thought they would be playing.
Yeah. I think that's why Baltimore was so pissed they lost that game.
Yeah, it's unexpected, and it shows Tomlin's great at what he does. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with your AFC North, but it's drunk. AFC North is drunk.
And then the Bears are for real.
Yeah, the last-second Hail Mary that lost them the game. Outside of that, Caleb's not playing terrible.
Yeah.
Swift's running the ball real well.
Yeah.
And their defense is playing well.
Yeah. And Commanders?
And you're playing in the NFC North, and that is also a brutal division.
Yes.
And they're playing well, and that's we expected them to play decent, but I didn't think they'd play to this standard right now already.
Yeah.
The Bears are surprising. Obviously, the Lions are being the Lions. And the Vikings are still the Vikings, even though they lost a close one in LA.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's definitely some unexpected
and the Bears?
things happening, but
the Packers are still there?
We'll see what happens with Jordan Love, though. Jordan Love got a little groin ouchie, so we'll see how long he's out. But they played well with Malik Willis as their backup for a couple games, so it's almost like a similar effect to Sam Darnold being plugged in Minnesota. Is Malik Willis a plug-in for Green Bay, and will play well until Love comes back? Who knows? But I love me some football. Especially right now, it's close in the middle of the season, and get some playoff push time going. This is good.
A lot of these divisions are total chaos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I love this chaos.
And NFC South, that's like, would somebody please stand up and try to win this division, or what here? Yeah,
it's probably Atlanta's, unless Tampa Bay finds something, especially with their injuries piling up with the receivers. It's Evans is out for at least a couple more weeks. Godwin's done for the year. But now they're using the dual threat running backs and just kind of running amok, which is maybe the only way for them to win.
Yeah.
But Baker's still playing damn good football.
Yeah. Good for him.
Kirk Cousins chooked it up for 4+ scores.
Yeah.
And their offense is humming. Kyle Pitts is finally involved for the first time, I feel like, since he's been drafted.
Mm-hmm.
Drake London's still a baller. Bijan Robinson's a stud.
Mm-hmm.
Their defense is playing relatively okay. It's it's an interesting division.
Yeah. And then, of course, NFC West is...
At this rate, who knows? LA may or may not make a run with Puka and Cooper Kupp back.
Yeah.
And Kyron Williams just running all over the place. Seattle's shown, especially this last week, that they can fall flat on their face. Arizona beat Miami in Tua's return, which was unexpected.
Yeah.
But it's the Niners are also just kind of like, who do you want to be? Like who are they? Who do they want to be? Who are they gonna be?
Well, who can they be? I mean, really. I mean,
I feel like they still can't be the Niners that we saw play for a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But they can't catch a break with the injury bug. It's one after another. It's Ayuk, and then it's Debo with the rib, or it's George Kittle with this, or
that running back.
Somebody on the defense is out for a couple of games. Like it's all over the place.
I don't remember his name, but number 31, their running back.
Oh yeah, Jordan Mason goes down with a shoulder injury or whatever.
He's good.
And then now you're waiting for Christian McCaffrey to come back. You're like, what the hell is going
on? Yeah, interesting. Well,
it's all over the place. But, I mean, they have the potential. They truly do. They need to get healthy.
Yeah. Well, anything else going on there?
Go Bucks.
Go Bucks. All right.
Go Bucks.
We'll talk to everybody Friday. We'll have our predictions. Are always good, always solid predictions. And then
always a dub somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe.
All right.
Just maybe.
All right. See you guys later. Bye.